Welcome back to the Balancing Act podcast. I'm Andy Temte. On the Balancing Act, we talk to business leaders and industry experts to explore the balancing acts we play in our professional lives and learn about the events that put rocket boosters behind their career success. Today, we have Chantell Preston joining us. Chantell is a seasoned healthcare executive with nearly 30 years of experience driving growth and transformation in the industry. She's CEO of Preston Partners and leverages this experience to partner with organizations on strategic planning and leadership development. Today, we're going to return to a theme that I like a lot, which is to shine a bright light on breaking glass ceilings and encouraging women in business and especially entrepreneurship. So, with all of that, welcome to the show, Chantell.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's going to be loads of fun. Before we get started, please give our listeners the elevator pitch version of your story.
Sure. So as with most of us coming out of college, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I got a great opportunity to start in healthcare. I came out of school kind of at a smaller company, halfway to the top. So it gave me a great opportunity to just learn as much as I possibly could. And instead of sitting behind the desk, I got out in the field and I said, if I'm going to figure out if I really enjoy this world, I want to know all about it. So I found some great mentors and I really built a niche for myself building healthcare facilities, meaning taking them from concept all the way to operations, overseeing all aspects. So a project manager per se. Throughout my career, though, I realized I didn't want to just be a project manager. I wanted to build something of my own. So I talked my business partner at the time, into leaving his company, and we started a company called Atlantic Health Group. Atlantic was a consulting company. We were going to be a surgery center company, but it was a saturated market. So we started a business called Mentis Neurorehabilitation, and we were a traumatic brain injury rehab company. We didn't know much about it. We were entrepreneurs, had a couple nickels to rub together, and we thought, why not? So we did, and we grew that into a company that we sold to private equity in 2015. But throughout my career, I got a great opportunity to see so many different types of healthcare companies, and I invested, I joined, and now I have a portfolio of healthcare companies that I mentor, I advise with, but I don't run them on a daily basis because I want to help other companies really be strategic and learn how to grow.
That's awesome. So that curiosity that you had coming out of college was really key. But if you had to pick an event in your life that just was a key accelerant for your career, what would it be?
I would think it would be starting Mentis was one of them, obviously starting a new company and not really understanding the industry very well. It was a great opportunity to surround ourselves with the professionals or the people that could help us build what we wanted. That was a big accelerator for us because not only were we learning the business, but we were also trying to grow the business at the same time. That was the first one, but really the one that made the biggest impact was when we sold Mentis to private equity. We all come out thinking, hey, everything's great. We've reached the pinnacle of our career and that we have certain expectations of what that's going to be like. And I have to tell you, it was nothing like I anticipated. We reached my career path. We reached the pinnacle, but in my personal life, in my identity crisis, trying to figure out who did I want to be after that, that really took a toll on me and trying to figure out who I wanted to be when I grow up. So it was a great mind shift for me in regards to where I was versus where I am now.
Yeah, well, this old tired phrase in business of we're building the plane as we're flying it. It does have some truth. I've been in a very similar place with various ventures where we know that we really want to do this thing, but we're not quite sure how we're going to get it done. And so we're going to unpack our perfectionist tendencies that tend to hold us back a little later in the show. And I'm so happy that you just dove right in and got after it. Yeah.
It's we all learn things as kids. If we think of success as title and money, and then we get there, we're like, now what? And so it's really about taking that step back and what does success mean to you? And I had to do that and really understand what did I want to do on the second phase.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like to run thought experiments, put hypothetical individuals in front of my guests and have them give them advice. So we're going to run a few thought experiments. First here, we've got a college junior sitting right in front of you right now. She's graduating next year. She's really anxious about the future. What advice do you have for this individual to really increase confidence in themselves in this era of almost an anxiety crisis societally?
So basically, I say just breathe. I think we think that we all have to have all the answers from day one. You don't. Stay curious. Sometimes when we're coming out of college, we don't even know what the opportunities are in front of us. Sometimes it's easier to figure out what you don't want than what you do want, but stay curious. Network with people, talk to everyone. People want to help each other. And so it's fascinating how we're so timid if we don't want to waste people's time. But, people do want to mentor younger kids, especially ones coming out of college. So use your network. Ask people, what do they like? What do they not like? What are the opportunities? But, stay focused. Stay focused not necessarily on the outcome, but what do you want that journey to look like? And I think that that's just from lessons learned from me. Sometimes don't stay super focused on the outcome, but what are the things I want to achieve? And realize that every phase of your life is a stepping stone to the next. And sometimes you just don't know where it's leading you, but just stay calm and just understand you're going to get there at some point.
Yeah, our education. I'm an educator by training, and so our education system kind of fools students into thinking that I do A and then B and then C, and if I get good grades at those things, then everything. I'm going to get all A's and everything's going to be just fine. And that's not how the real world works. So this transition, just the advice that you've given, ask the individual to just breathe and have this mindset shift that if I keep raising my hand, the opportunities will come. So thank you for that, Chantell.
They will. And I'll just give you a quick example. I was getting my master's, and one of the teachers, one of the first days, came in and told all these MBA students that we were all going to be making $100,000 when we got out of school. Now, this was many years ago. Again, I won't say how many years ago,
Yeah.
but we were all going to be making these huge salaries. Well, a lot of us were already working at that point and we're doing night school. And it was just really fascinating because it was kind of like raise your hand of like, whose world are you living in? And so, again, it's having those, not setting those expectations too high that you're going to have to go through the hard stuff to get to the good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So now, next thought experiment. You have a mid-career, mid-level manager sitting in front of you right now. They have aspirations to advance as a leader, but this individual, she feels stuck reporting to a bad boss who doesn't see their potential. What's your advice for this individual?
Oh my gosh, I've been there. That's a hard situation to be in because you obviously want to respect hierarchy in all aspects when it comes to an organization. Part of me used to say, keep your head down, do your work, you'll be noticed. But really build the advocates within the organization. How can other people see who you are? But as I've gotten older, I realized too that 8 hours a day is a long time to be miserable. And does that company fit your culture that you want and your values? And, we used to stay in jobs because we felt like it was the only job. I now encourage people to say, network and see if there's other opportunities out there for you where someone will recognize your abilities and your value. And so again, it's easy for me to say in this position, but obviously as someone in that, you really need to assess the surroundings and just say, do I want to stay here? Does this company represent my values? Or could there maybe be a better opportunity for me somewhere else?
Yeah, and what I'm hearing is keep moving, keep raising your hand, keep talking to other folks. One of my primary mentors, Carl Swazer, and our listeners have heard this before, but he would tell me, Andy, if you're not moving, you're standing still. And
That's
it's
right.
such simple advice, but so many people wait for opportunities to come to them. And I can assure you that it is a long and frustrating wait.
I tell people all the time, the only person that's going to advocate for you is yourself.
That's right.
And so if you don't advocate for yourself, maybe you may not get the opportunities that you want.
Yeah. Yeah. So Before our break, we're going to have another thought experiment here. You've got an individual contributor sitting in front of you right now. She loves her career so far, but feels like she's being pulled in just too many directions. Work, family, friends. She's trapped in this everything's got to be perfect mindset. What's your advice to this individual to help improve balance in their life?
Well, first of all, I'll say I don't really, Andrew, believe balance exists. I think you have to learn how to integrate them all together. With that being said, setting boundaries, we have a tendency to say yes to everything. Really establish what are you trying to accomplish, whether it's personal or professional, and then realize that I've got to set boundaries around that, not saying yes to everything, only saying yes to the things that really help me get to those goals. But, we're all struggling. And with today's society of kids and households and careers, it's a balance. It's more of an integration. How can I integrate them together so that I don't lose my own sanity? And again, I don't have all the words of wisdom or tricks of the trade. All I can do is say protect your boundaries, make sure that you hold to them. You don't have to say yes to everything. And frankly, perfection just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And so as soon as you start realizing that, you'll obviously live a more calmer life.
Yeah. And this whole concept of balance, it's obviously one of my main points that I talk about. It is fleeting at best. You just stand on one foot
That's
for
right.
try to stand on one foot for just a minute. And it's really hard. I don't care who you are. Standing on one foot for a minute is really hard to do. So balance is fleeting. It's a target. It's an aspiration that you strive for. But do you ever really quite get there? Probably not. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to think, have it all. You could always have it all. Well, I realized you can, just not at the same time.
Yeah.
And so it's really changing your own expectations. Everything in life ebbs and flows, depends on your phase of your life, depends on what's going on in your life. And especially with women and, having children on my side, it really changed who I was and my priorities of having to figure out, to your point, how to balance all those things and not just solely focus on my career.
Yeah. Well, Chantell, we're going to take a really short commercial break and we'll be right back. We'll talk about entrepreneurship in the back half of the show. Hey everyone, I'd like to invite you to start your weekend with me on the Saturday Morning Muse podcast. I briefly explore topics that span leadership, business management, education, and personal continuous improvement. Subscribe to the Saturday Morning Muse podcast on your favorite podcast streaming app or visit andrewtemte.com for more information. And we're back with Chantell Preston talking about women in leadership and entrepreneurship. So, Chantell, let's move to entrepreneurship. You have, as you've described, built and scaled businesses in the healthcare field. We're going to run another thought experiment. You've got a budding female entrepreneur, super curious, in front of you right now. What's your advice to them to get her started on the path to building a business of their own?
Sure. I tell women all the time, start before you're ready. I think we have a tendency, we talked about perfection a minute ago. Everything has to be perfect. It doesn't. Start before you're ready. Start networking with people. Start talking to people about what you're trying to accomplish to see, does the market have acceptance for what you're doing? So start before you're ready. It doesn't have to be a 100%, but really, what problem are you solving? You really need to make sure that there's a problem there and you have a solution to it. So many people come up with great ideas, and that's great. But who's going to pay for it? Who's going to really buy it? So what is the problem that you're solving? And then why are you doing it? What is your own why? What do you want to get out of it? Figure out some of that up front, but start before you're ready. It doesn't have to be perfect, but get out there, just get moving. To your point, just keep moving things forward. And again, the path will take you where it's supposed to go.
Yeah, I find, sometimes I feel stuck and I feel alone and I feel like nobody cares. And then all of a sudden I get a call from somebody I talked to 4 years ago about something I'm really passionate about. And they're like, hey, Andy, do you want to join us in pushing this forward or investing in this bit over here? And all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, networking, mentorship. it really does work. And maybe not on your exact timeline, but the more you keep moving, the better off you'll be.
Well, and that goes around just, Andrew, about surrounding yourself with the right people,
Yeah.
not only employee-wise or people that could help you build your business, but also who are your board of directors outside of your family that can help challenge you and push you to get to that next level. And I think that building your tribe is very important of who you have around you, especially as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. And I'll just, as you were talking about that, there are people in your life that for one reason or another, they served a purpose at one point, but now they might be sucking the life out of you, or taking up a lot of your time and energy. So curating that tribe over time, not in a nasty way, but just in I've got to have the right tribe around me in this moment in my life. And you no longer fit this vision. What are your thoughts there?
No, it's a great point because as an entrepreneur, not everyone's going to understand what you're doing. They're not going to be compassionate about what you're doing. And frankly, not everybody wants to see you be successful. So again,
Yes.
surround yourself with like-minded people that can bring value to you and that, understand the things that you're going through. I mean, myself, I can't talk about my job at home because nobody understands. Nobody cares. They want to know where's dinner, right? But I've built myself a group of women and men around me that go through the same things I go through. So we have that interaction when I need that ear that I need to bounce something off of. So they also challenge me to be better, both personally and professionally. So there's no negative, connotation towards, oh, why aren't you hanging out with me all the time? Because they understand what you're going through. And to your point, everything in life is a season and a reason. And so just make sure that those individuals understand and are supportive and not breaking you down.
Yep. And make sure you've got some constructive challengers around and not just folks who are telling you exactly what you want to hear, because that's a trap.
You got it. You got it. If you want to grow, you got to have those people, those adversaries, but you also have the ones that challenge you at the same time.
Yep. Yep. So, Chantell, tell us more about your personal experience. We've been running these thought experiments in the show thus far. What about you, founding and scaling and exiting businesses? What's the main thing that you've learned? What's the biggest sacrifice? And how do you feel you've grown the most?
Well, it's funny, as I was sitting here talking, I'm thinking I'm giving all this advice, but I probably didn't follow my own advice until probably the last 10 years or so.
Yep.
One of the things I learned is it's never easy. In every aspect, there's going to be sacrifices, especially as an entrepreneur. You're sacrificing your time. And if I look back, I was so focused on the outcome, I didn't really enjoy the journey. And people say, well, how was your 20s and 30s? Well, I don't know, because I was so engrossed in trying to achieve that, sell of my company that I didn't really enjoy the personal relationships that I had. I didn't attend events with my family. So again, it's important to have goals and objectives, but make sure that you're really taking that time for yourself to give yourself some self-care and not lose your sanity, but also the relationships that you have in your life. So, going back to your question, it's never easy. Everyone's struggling to do it. It's not always about the money. It's about, I've also realized it's about the purpose. What really gives me energy? To your point, you said, sucking the life out of you. What provides that positive energy to me? And you are going to make sacrifices, but make sure those sacrifices are the right ones. Don't say yes to things that you don't want to do, that don't benefit you or bring you positive energy. Enjoy the journey, learn from it, trust your gut. Your gut will never send you the wrong direction. And so those are the biggest things. And I really guard those things now in my life, and I have over the last 10 years.
That's awesome. So, Chantell, what have we missed today that you want to make sure that our listeners get from this conversation?
If anything, I would say start before you're ready. If you're an entrepreneur, you don't have to have all the answers. Again, sometimes it's great not to be the smartest person in the room. I never want to be the smartest person in the room. I want to learn as much as I can from those around me, but also ask for help. That's one thing I didn't do as a younger age, but ask for help. People really want to help you. And so I would say, be that person that's just curious. Use that curiosity to your advantage, and that's going to help you in all aspects.
Yeah. Yeah, reach out. A friend of mine said something very poignant to me. He said, Andy, nobody's inaccessible.
Yeah.
Now, there are people that just they're kind of jerks and they purposefully don't want to talk to you. But most folks, you, me, if you're curious, we want to hear from you, and we want to help. So.
And I tell people all the time, what's the worst they can say?
Yeah,
No?
right.
Okay, great. Move on to someone else. But if you don't get things in life if you don't ask. And so just be that person and be that curious one and ask.
Yep. All right. Well, let's have a little fun at the end of the show here. A couple of lightning round questions, if that's all right.
You bet.
All right. So you just won a $100 million lotto jackpot, but there's a stipulation that half of your net winnings go to one philanthropic organization or a general cause. Who do you pick?
Oh gosh, that's an easy one for me. I'm huge on education. I think it's very important. I'm huge on STEM for women. I'm huge on making sure underserved have the opportunity to go to college. So my whole, I'd probably give more than 50%, but it would go towards education and building up the next generation.
Awesome. And we need it.
Yes.
So now, Chantell, I put you in a little bitty time machine. You can go back and send a message to an earlier version of yourself. What's the message and what's the previous version of yourself that you choose to send it to?
Oh gosh, I think it's coming straight out in probably my late 20s of realizing that, life is short. Time you'll never get back. And so follow your dreams, follow your passions, but also make sure that you enjoy the journey on the way.
Yeah. I was talking to our eldest son. He's now 34, and he said, "Dad, I don't bounce anymore." Meaning, if I fall down, stuff hurts when I get back up, and it takes longer for my body to repair.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, so that realization that you get in your late 20s, early 30s, that there is mortality, that I'm not going to live forever, that's a really important moment to latch onto and listen to.
Now, wait till he hits 50, okay? So then you really have that transition of midlife. So, but it's all great and just enjoy it.
Yeah,
Be present.
So, Chantell, we're all works in progress. What are you focused on right now in your personal journey of growth?
Oh gosh, I am really working on letting go what I think I need to be to just being who I am. And I think that that's the biggest thing is we create these images in our minds about what we should be, and we don't realize that we're just as great just being who we are. And so that's really what I've been focused on.
Awesome. So where can folks get a hold of you? Where do you want people to go if they're curious about you in this episode?
So my website is www.chantellpreston.com, or I have my podcast, Get Real, Get Results. So people can find me on either one of those channels. And I appreciate you having me here today, Andy.
Excellent. Well, thank you for your significant contributions today.
Thank you, Andy.
All right. Well, my name is Andy Temte. This is the Balancing Act podcast. You can find us on all the major streaming services as well as out on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, rate, and most importantly, share this public good with your friends, your family, your colleagues, and maybe a neighbor. The show is produced by Nicholas Temte, and we'll see you next time on The Balancing Act.